I want you to think about a time in your life that you had to face something difficult. How did you handle that? Did you overcome it? Did you accept what happened? For me, I personally struggle with dyslexia. But I not only struggle with it, but I used it as a catalyst for where I am today. Now, I thought this was really interesting, but according to the National Literacy Institute, the United States ranks 36 in literacy. And dyslexia affects how I read and how others read as well. It affects our society and our nation. Some key characteristics according to the International Dyslexia Association: language skills such as reading, writing, and being able to decode the English language are affected. And there's no cure. Makes it difficult to understand. And some say it's a disability, but I say it's the ability to see the world in a unique way. So, how common is dyslexia? In the United States, 15 to 20% of the United States population is dyslexic. And within special education, 70 to 80% of students have deficits in literacy. Dyslexia affects all. So, is dyslexia really a disability? It is, because it affects how our brain processes information. Dyslexics see the world in a unique way, and they see letters differently. I am considered neurodivergent, which is a non-medical term that describes people and how their brain develops and works differently. On the right side of the brain, you have your creativity, your visual learning, your problem-solving skills, and you're an out-of-the-box thinker. Your left side of the brain is your sequencing, your analytical tasks, your reading, processing the language, the English language, and recognizing letters. Now, for many dyslexics, using the left side of the brain is very difficult, including for myself. For example, when you see the word cat, you might often think, oh, that's an easy word. You spell it C-A-T. Well, when I was in school, I used to spell it with a K because it has the K sound in it. And the English language has many different rules that it's important for students to know and learn so they are able to know the difference when to use the C and when to use the K, especially when they have similar sounds. For example, Walt Disney, Barbara Corcoran, Richard Branson, Jennifer Aniston, Cher, and Agatha Christie, all dyslexics, still successful. Taking the disability and looking at the abilities can help those with dyslexia be successful and using what we have as our strengths to be able to accomplish what we need to accomplish. Dyslexia has been around for over 140 years. And in schools, they used to focus on more of the decoding and the basic fundamentals that are needed in order to read and write. Today, a lot of education is focused on comprehensive reading, which is very difficult for students like me in the classroom, because without having a good understanding of the fundamentals of reading, how are we able to comprehend the text that we are reading? We need to teach English like it's a foreign language. We need to go back to the basics, and we need to make sure that all students have an understanding of our language so that way they can read and be successful. When I was in second grade, I was officially diagnosed with dyslexia. And my parents were worried about the special education label. And they were worried that I would be called dumb and that I possibly would not even graduate. And when I was in 3rd grade, I self-identified that I had dyslexia through a Disney Channel commercial. Even with knowing I had dyslexia, I struggled getting services in school under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 2004. I'm protected. I have dyslexia, I have a learning disability. But getting services to make sure I'm successful in school was very difficult. I didn't receive the free and appropriate public education like I was promised. The school didn't know how to help me. They didn't know how to help fellow dyslexics that I knew at the time. My parents spent countless hours and dollars fighting for my educational right to be able to receive the services, accommodations, and modifications I needed to be successful in school and to be where I am today. Dyslexics don't need to be fixed either. We need to take these accommodations and modifications and figure out how we can take students' abilities that are dyslexic and find ways that they best learn. Students with dyslexia are not dumb. In fact, I was labeled dumb, but I knew that it was important to not use that label to stop me from where I'm going. Dyslexia is a gift. It's a gift because there is no disability when having the ability to see the world in a unique way. Students don't always see dyslexia as a gift. We have to help them embrace their differences. So, how can we as a community help our students embrace their differences? First, we need to look at their abilities, see what they are good at, and use that to help those students. Second, we need to encourage them to dream big and to reach for the stars. Third, having an understanding of what dyslexia is and is not. Dyslexia is a learning disability. It's not an excuse for the struggles that we face in our lives. 4, diagnosing early. Many schools won't diagnose dyslexia until 3rd grade because they feel students aren't developed enough. But it has been scientifically proven that you can detect dyslexia as early as age 4. And you can know this through the shapes, how students identify shapes, colors, and other things that they are learning within their preschool ages. 5th, dyslexics are highly intelligent. Many, like the ones I shared earlier, have average to above average IQs. Dyslexia doesn't define how smart you are. It just affects the way you learn. 6, supporting structured literacy approaches such as Orton-Gillingham, which is a phonics-based program. Programs like this not only support students with dyslexia, but support students without dyslexia, which is why we need to make sure we get these programs in our classrooms so all students can benefit from it. 7, knowing accommodations and tools. This is especially important because when you know accommodations tools such as Kurzweil, extra time on tests, we are able to allow students to be able to utilize these tools to help them be successful, not as a crutch. I'm using accommodation right now by having these cards in front of me, and it's necessary for me to stay on track. 8, build confidence in areas students excel in. Many students are really great at sports, really great in their arts. When we encourage students to excel in these areas, they'll want to excel in their academics. 9, help students to advocate. I learned to advocate at a young age. And because of this, I have been able to not only fight for my own educational rights and my own IEP meetings in high school and middle school, but teaching them will allow them to be able to learn how to advocate for themselves past past post-secondary education. And I do that all the time now as a college student. Being on my own, I have to advocate for myself to make sure I'm getting the services I needed while in school. As a community, we can come together to uplift those with this learning disability, to speak up, and to continue to share their gifts that is known as dyslexia. Thank you.